This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
The president seems intent on filling each of his remaining days in office with petulance, grievance, self-interest. The president's reportedly asking his staff about whether he can President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr. President, that would be a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority. The president.
A gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority to preemptively pardon your family and members of your administration. And then we turn around and have literally the day before the inauguration, Joe Biden pardons Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and the J6 committee, preemptively pardons them for unspecified crimes. Trump talked about this, or asked the question about this, or was rumored to have been considering doing this. I don't know if Trump ever actually considered it or it was legitimate, but it was something that the mainstream media and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and the like were talking about leading up to Inauguration Day. I don't know that I know it didn't happen, and I don't know if it was ever actually something that he was considering or talking about. It was just, what they said. Anyway, they said, if you do that, that's illegal. You can't do that. That's what Schumer says. It's a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority. Joe Biden also said that when talking about, or was it Biden? One of them said when talking about the pardons that it was expected for Trump to give to the J6 defendants, the ones who are currently in jail and have been with no foreseeable deadline of getting out, because there's nothing there, but they're holding them while they investigate. When talking about the recipients of the J6 recipients of a pardon, one of these Democrats said, if they accept this pardon, then that's an admission of guilt. Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, and the entire J6 committee have been preemptively pardoned for what? They're not currently under investigation. They currently haven't been charged with anything. What have they been pardoned for here? That's the big question. And then to add to that, Joe Biden, literally like minutes before the inauguration, pardons his entire family. Biden pardons his siblings and their spouses on his way out of the White House. Now, I'm going to read this from the Associated Press because it's absolute, complete, and total dog shit. The Associated Press has become just a full-on leftist rag. Like, holy fucking shit. Everything that they write is bad. So let's have a look. Joe Biden pardoned his siblings and their spouses on his way out of the White House, saying Monday that his family has been subject to unrelenting attacks and threats, motivated solely by a desire to hurt me, the worst kind of partisan politics. Unfortunately, I have no reason to believe these attacks will end, he said, and his presidential term was ending. The family pardons were a surprise finale in a series of unprecedented presidential actions by the Democrat, who has been known as an institutionalist during his half-century in politics. Biden also pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and allies who have been targeted by Republican President Donald Trump, who was sworn in on Monday. It was a remarkable use of Biden's presidential power. None of the above have been charged with any crime, and the move was designed to guard against possible retribution by Trump. Trump, during his campaign, repeatedly suggested he would seek to use the Justice Department to exact retribution against his perceived political foes. That is not what he said or how he said it, but that's the line that they've run with. His pick for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, told lawmakers during her confirmation hearing last week that the department would not prosecute anyone for political purposes. But she refused to rule out potential investigations into Trump's adversaries, including the special counsel who brought 2 federal criminal cases against Trump that have since been abandoned. And this is a twisting of the words. It's not that they would be targeting Trump's adversaries. They would be looking into improper and illegal use of the Justice Department as a weapon against political foes by the Biden administration. That is not going after Trump's political enemies. It is looking into corruption of the use of the judicial system. But these people, their brains just barely take up any space. Like, it's all fucking water on the head, and a little bit of brain matter floating around in there. So they can't, possibly fathom that. Last month, Biden pardoned his son Hunter for attacks and gun crimes, despite his previous pledges not to do so. Biden didn't just pardon his son for attacks and gun crimes. Biden gave him a blanket pardon for all crimes possibly having been committed since January 1st of 2014. We'll get to that importance of that in just a minute. Biden issued blanket pardons for his brother James and his wife Sarah, his sister Valerie, and her husband John Owens, and his brother Francis. Oh, good old Uncle Frank. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that they engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as admission of guilt for any offense. Saying that right after you said that any of the J6ers who accept their pardons are admitting to their guilt. But these pardons are not an admission of guilt. What? How does that work exactly? The pardon came just before noon. Biden was already at the Capitol to see Trump inaugurated. House Republicans in June sent a letter to the Justice Department recommending the prosecution of Hunter and James Biden, accusing them of making false statements to Congress as part of a Republican impeachment query. James Biden's lawyers at the time called it a baseless partisan action. James Biden's business dealings were heavily scrutinized by Republicans as part of their failed impeachment inquiry. Republicans, and that's another bullshit thing. It wasn't a failed impeachment inquiry. The Republicans lacked the fucking spine to carry through with it. They had what they needed, and they wouldn't go through with it. That's like, Republicans being fucking spineless is something that you can always count on, especially where it comes to like rocking the boat or actually like doing something against their legitimately going after their political enemies. Like, they just don't have the balls for it. And that's what the Biden investigation and hearings ultimately ended up with, was like the charges that they were bringing against Hunter were like minor bullshit things. And then the impeachment inquiry went nowhere because they would not take it forward. And they found Biden was inept. Like, Biden was incapable of being brought to the stand to stand trial for an impeachment hearing. Like, what? This is fucking just... Oh. House Democrats defended the transaction. Sorry, I missed a... Republicans pointed to a series of payments that they claimed showed the president benefited from his brother's work. House Democrats defended the transaction, pointing to bank records that they say indicate James Biden was repaying a loan provided by his brother Joe, who had wire transferred $200,000 to him about 6 weeks earlier. The money changed hands while Joe Biden was a private citizen. In a voluntary interview as part of the impeachment inquiry, James Biden said his brother never had any involvement in the business dealings of other members of his family. Trump denounced the move in remarks to supporters hours after the Biden White House announced the pardons. He mocked the Democratic administration for waiting until the final minutes of its term to announce the move. Did you know that Biden, while I was making my speech, pardoned his old family? Trump said. The brother, the whole deal was pardoned. Can you imagine that? During a separate exchange with reporters, Trump accused Biden of creating unbelievable precedent for presidents to use. I guess now I have precedent to do it too, Trump said. Other presidents have pardoned family members, but those were for specific criminal convictions. Bill Clinton pardoned his brother Roger for drug charges after he had served his sentence roughly a decade earlier. In the final weeks of his first term, Trump pardoned Charles Kushner, the father of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, as well as multiple allies convicted in special counsel Robert Russia investigation. So here's the thing about the Biden family pardons. They all go into effect from January 1st, 2014 to the present for any crimes that may have been committed against the United States during that time. Why is January 1st, 2014 important? For those who have paid attention to the timeline on all of this stuff, April of 2014 is when Hunter started getting involved with Burisma and Ukraine and doing some shady dealings over there. That's also when a lot of the things that I believe it was in March of 2014 was when a lot of the dominoes started to fall that would lead to Russia invading in 2022. So there's a lot that happened over the course of 8 years. But Hunter Biden started getting involved with Burisma and other Ukrainian energy companies and working in Ukraine. Now, I've said this before. NATO never would even give Ukraine a sniff at joining because Ukraine is literally the most corrupt government in all of Europe. If you also look further into it, Nancy Pelosi has a cousin. Pelosi has a nephew. Schumer has like a grandkid, and a couple other Democrat Congress people have direct relatives who have been, in some cases are currently still working for Ukrainian energy companies. Why? Yeah, as Jay said, Carrie's got a kid working over there too. Why would all of these Democrat politicians have direct relatives working in the energy sectors of the most corrupt country on the planet? Also, if you've looked into the money that's gone to Ukraine since the whole war started, you'll find that there are a bunch of oligarchs and billionaires who have bought ski resorts and bought yachts and come into a metric fuck ton of money, while Ukraine is like objectively getting their asses handed to them, except for whatever military technology they're being sent. They're not like rebuilding the country. The rich are getting richer, and in turn, that money is getting filtered back out into the different companies that all of these oligarchs and billionaires are involved in and invested into, like those energy sector companies, where then John Kerry and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden's kids and family members get their piece of the money, and then they send 10% back to the big guy. Why would 2014 be the start date of these preemptive blanket pardons for anything and everything that they may or may not have done if nothing shady was going on over there? And then James and Frank both got involved later on with some China dealings where they were trying to influence some negotiations and deals with getting Joe Biden and some Chinese folks together to make some moves and get some business ventures going that would be beneficial to Biden and the Chinese government. And like all of this stuff is this is all on the fucking Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was a complete hoax, and then later on told, okay, well, it's actually legit, but just ignore that and forget that we ever told you it was a hoax. Like, everything about this is fucking insane, and here we are, and like nobody in the mainstream media is asking any questions or talking about it. It's like just everything that they want you to think that the right is doing bad, they are doing it on the left tenfold. Fucking hypocritical, miserable pieces of shit. They have no values, no anything. They are just horrible fucking people. That's all you need to know. That'll do it for today. I've actually got a funny one for tomorrow, and then a lighter, more I think like a educational kind of a topic for Thursday. I hadn't figured out what I'm gonna do for Friday yet, but we'll get there. Here in about 45 minutes, Johnny Profita and I will be going live with Peddling Fiction. So feel free to tune in for that. We'll be talking more about some of this stuff as well as the executive orders and stuff like that. So tune in for that. And then tomorrow I will be on It's Too Late with Alan Mosley tomorrow night. Alan and I are going to also be talking about a lot of this stuff, the TikTok ban, the executive orders, everything else, and some of the we will dig more into the depth of the executive orders and what that actually means, and the legal challenges that are going to come up for them and stuff like that. So anyway, got a lot going on this week. Feel free to tune into all of it. Look forward to seeing you then, there, and wherever. Have a good one, everybody. Later.